On behalf of the General Assembly, I have the honour to welcome to the United Nations His Excellency Evo Morales, President of the plurinational state of Bolivia, and I invite him to address the Assembly.
Muchas gracias.
Thank you very much, Father President of the General Assembly. Our greetings to all brothers and sisters, presidents, all delegations in this United Nations General Assembly. Once again, it's a great pleasure to be here to express on behalf of the Bolivian people what we feel, what we know, and what we've done in Bolivia. As everyone else has said, this year is the 70th anniversary of the creation of the United Nations. 70 years ago, the United Nations was established to seek peace after the world wars. I think it's important to take deep stock of a political, economic, social, cultural, environmental level. At the 70 years of the United Nations life, and what the UN has achieved. In the eyes of the people, there's been 70 years. Wars continue, invasions continue. And what is at the origin of these wars and invasions in various continents? Ambition of certain regions, of certain nations. The policy to keep the capital in the hands of the few. In certain states where oligarchies dominated, they're supported by the transnationals, the international companies, and therefore I feel that after 70 years since the creation of the UN, we have not achieved the goals that were achieving peace and stability in the world. This morning we heard a number of statements, all beginning with President Obama, ending with other presidents from other continents. All of us said we seek peace, but let me tell you, brothers and sisters, to everyone here and to all the peoples of the world, there'll be no peace without social justice. And there's protested against terrorism, against groups that have taken up arms in various continents, certain powers never listen. They think they know how to resolve those problems through these interventions that condemn social movements, and they confuse social movements with terrorists. I come from the indigenous world, from social movements. So we social movements are not terrorists, but we contribute to social peace with results, with equality and dignity and justice. But also, let me say, in the 70 years, when some proclaim capitalism, I say capitalism. The fact is, capitalism has failed. It's a failed model because it has only brought humanity. All they've brought is the humanitarian crisis, as so many said this today. It's brought a financial crisis, energy crisis, food crisis. I've had a number of statements. Almost half of the inhabitants of the world have been left in hunger. Millions and millions of dollars have been spent to destroy the Mother Earth, our planet. In so doing, they say that it's to confront or to reduce. Instead of 100 million needed to save the planet, but how many dollars, how many thousands, millions, billions, trillions of dollars are spent to intervene, though, militarily in countries? I listened with great attention to the words of my brother Ban Ki-moon, Secretary General, and he regretted what the Libyan and Syrian people were going through. As a result, these peoples of Libya and Syria, what's the cause of their ills? Let us not forget that the US government here they overthrew Gaddafi. They called him a tyrant, and we saw the NATO intervention, the US intervention. They said that their goal was but the goal wasn't that. Mr. Gaddafi, the target was not Mr. Gaddafi, rather they wanted to get their hands on free oil. The free oil which belongs to the Libyan people, the Libyan state. Or does it belong in fact to a few American or US transnationals? Just imagine. On the basis of false pretexts they still make give false pretexts. Now the Libyan people are on their knees, but now they're no longer interested because the resources are now in the hands of the capitalists, of the transnationalists. That's capitalism for you. This has been the case before and during and after the creation of the UN, not to mention the issue of Syria and other countries. That's why we're convinced, brothers and sisters, people around the world, that capitalism is not the solution for life, still less for humanity. That's a profound difference. And sometimes here, and many people here come here, they don't say the truth about what's happening in the world. I want to tell you, brothers and sisters, well, some think they live better and that these policies that they practice will not resolve social, humanitarian issues. Living well, as the President of Ecuador said, that is this very synthesis of communitary socialism. Living better is the synthesis of capitalism. Now, there's a profound difference between the two. Living well, brothers and sisters, means living in solidarity and in complementarity. Not just in solidarity with a human being, but means living at one with Mother Earth. For us, for our social movements, especially the indigenous movement, it's Mother Earth that is the key. We are convinced that the human being will be unable to live without Mother Earth, and Mother Earth would get along much better without human beings. Now, one other thing that many of you don't realize, but I still want to say, in this form of living well, basic services cannot be the subject of private business, and that's from our great experience in Bolivia too. Basic services were privatized: water, energy privatized, light, electricity, telecommunication was privatized. And through the constitution we decided that these services were a human right. They could never be something that was negotiated. They could never be a business. They're a human right.
Pero también quiero decirles,
but this form of living well, we are convinced that natural resources never can belong to foreigners or to transnationals. Let me just comment from my own experience. After we came to power, we heard the call from the social forces in Bolivia on the 1st May 2006. They said they would nationalize the oil industry. We would restore our natural resources. During the campaign, we said that there could be no masters no bosses, still less partners. And I said, and income was $30 million before we came to power. After we nationalized it, it went from $30 million. Our oil income went to $5 billion. Imagine under the imperialist model. Imagine how much money how much money they'd have taken from us. How much the huge difference. This just for a country of just 10 million inhabitants. These natural resources are so important when it comes to economic liberation, and that's why we are convinced that our natural resources should belong to the people under the administration of the state, and that is our experience, and that is how we freed ourselves economically. That's why, brothers and sisters, let me tell you, we don't believe in capitalism. Now, interventions into other countries, why? Why do they do that? They want to take dominion over those natural resources so that after they can continue accumulating the capital and concentrating it in the hands of a few. Secondly, let me also say that we have a huge responsibility in December this year in Paris, France. The theme of the environment. To be important as presidents. We're going to bring forward the desires of our people. And having consulted my brothers and sisters in Bolivia, we're bringing policies, projects, programs to try and sanitize and to help heal Mother Earth, the planet, or the planet Earth, as they say in the West. Now, if we don't shoulder those responsibilities to save Mother Earth, we'll be responsible. Future generations will hold us responsible. Now, another personal experience. Apologies for speaking about myself, but when I traveled to the inside of my country, people didn't know when was spring. People didn't know when autumn was, when summer was. One morning, my companion from the tropics called me at 2 in the morning. He said, "President, what are you doing?" I said I was in bed. What are you? And he's right now. We are leaving. We're pulling. The river is flowing through our house because at that time of morning we have the river, but we didn't have a shower. The people were going into the river to protect themselves, to guard themselves against the high temperatures. And at that point, what must we do to ensure this 2 degrees Celsius stoppage? Some experts say that if we don't stop the heating, that in a few years' time, that the average temperature increase could be about to 4 or 5 degrees Celsius. I feel, brothers and sisters, that future generations are will then convert themselves into anti-imperialists, anti-capitalists, because we're seeing the interference of capitalism. But it's important that our voices should be heard, not just in the north, and the developing countries' voices must be heard when it comes to the attribution of responsibilities. That's another responsibility we have. In Paris, we need to ensure that there's responsibility assumed on how to save Mother Earth. So we invite presidents. We in Bolivia, we have the responsibility to hold an international event for the social movements of the world that will be held on the 10th, 11th and 12th of October. In the coming weeks, we invite them to participate and to contribute, to see what our people think, so that they shouldn't be subjected to the initiatives of the North American empire or the transnationals. Because now is not the time to keep pursuing alien policies. And I had a number of statements earlier today, different statements from President Obama, on the one hand, the President of China. You know, the Obama, to give security to his state and to his allies. What is he wants to fight terrorism? You know, he said that he would. What he had to offer was an intervention, whereas the President of China, what did he wish to invite? He wanted to offer us help and cooperation. That his state was not an expansionist one. We salute social movements. Social movements are movements that seek unity. Unity for liberation, integration, and not policies. We don't want policies of invasion for domination. So there we have a profound differences here, and I very much welcome the words of the Chinese president, who offers us assistance and cooperation. And obviously, we understand the leadership of that country, although we know that from the media that we believe that the US is already trying to call into question what the Chinese are saying. But there's always this ever-present threat of intervention. Their attempts to dominate the peoples of the world. Now, there's a theme to the debate. They spoke of democracies this morning. I said we had two kinds of democracy. The democracy of the peoples and democracy of the transnationals. Democracy of the social movements, because our people are organizing in social movements. And what does this democracy consist of in social movements? It's not that we just have representative, participative democracy. In my experience, it's that we always hold meetings with the leaders. There are always differences between leaders. Some sectors are more ambitious than others when it comes to what they're calling for. Some can't be satisfied, some are still undesirable, but there's an understanding, the people understand. Because together, policies are decided on, programs, manifestos are put forward. Our responsibility is to follow through with those economic plans and social programs. But in different democracies, supposedly representative democracies, the vote ends on the day of the elections. And let's be sincere, brothers and sisters, ministers here. We're governed not by presidents, by the banks. We're governed by the transnationals. We're governed by the businesses. What kind of democracy is that? They deceive the people who govern. They don't govern. I've heard in the media, one candidate says, I financed all the Republicans, and I financed both the Republicans and the Democrats. I financed them all. That's not democracy. That's just capitalism. Now, there are serious problems facing humanity, and that's why we are convinced that if we want to end poverty, we need to end with the capitalist system. There's no other way, brothers and sisters. And not just that, I'm also convinced that this new millennium should be a millennium of the peoples, not a millennium of hierarchies or monarchies. Now, we respect monarchies, we respect them, but they can't be monarchies from Europe in Latin America. That needs to come to an end. These aren't the times for oligarchies. Still less time for financial anarchies such as exist at this moment in time. That's why, brothers and sisters, it's our obligation to work together to combat these problems before us. Now imagine after 70 years since the creation of the UN. Imagine if there were no coups d'etats, military coups d'etats. Instead, now we're having soft coups, espionage. Now we have stopping presidential planes. I don't understand what are these times? Now there are military bases. And that's why, brothers and sisters, to be honest, I do not share these policies. But also, if I can say categorically that people continue to be imprisoned for their views. Now, there's so many terrorists, so many criminals, presidents who violate human rights after killing 30, 40, 50, 67 people, as is the case with the United States. Now, if we fought terrorism, if we fought crime, drug traffickers, why do those aren't those drug traffickers terrorists? Why aren't they expelled from the United States and judged in their own countries? We cannot understand. There's so many. If there's so many criminals in the U.S., how they can be respected? But that's what's happening. And that's why certain authorities, certain governments are questioning this. We who don't share this view of colonialism, imperialism. Brothers and sisters, I want to take the opportunity also to touch another serious theme that I heard from certain presidents. The theme of migration. Migrants are being criminalized. Migrants are being expelled. I can speak as an inhabitant of the Americas. 500 years ago, the Europeans invaded us. They criminalized us. They invaded us, and then they implemented policies to exterminate the indigenous peoples, to pillage our natural resources. There was never a program. And it was some people now traveling from Latin America to Europe, to US, they go to work, and now they're being criminalized. They find themselves persecuted. You know, brothers and sisters, in capitalism, the money has its tax havens, and human beings have just hell and misery. They just suffer the misery of expulsion. And that's why, brothers and sisters, that we propose to work together to create universal citizenship. We all have a right to live wherever we like in the world. Globalization shouldn't just be for trade, shouldn't just be for money, but it should be for all human beings around the world. And our brother migrants should never be expelled, and in Bolivia will never expel anyone. Now, the companies that were here now, they're no longer the masters or owners. Now they just provide services in Bolivia. Now, another important theme is the theme of drug trafficking, which is another result of capitalism. We've nationalized, thanks to the cooperation with certain South American countries, we've nationalized the struggle against drug trafficking. And statistics from the UN are very important. It's important to know them. Trafficking was guided by clearly geopolitical interests. Look at the UN figures. And they apply to both the South American countries and other continents. You can see the military. Look at where billions of dollars have been invested, where troops have been sent. Wherever that they've done that, what to the results been in the struggle against drug trafficking? Zero. But when we truly nationalize the struggle against drug trafficker, and in Bolivia, I think we're going better than better. There's no military base there. There's no DEA there. Without economic resources, it's through which the US should contribute through shared responsibility. We're not calling for it, but we welcome Europe's unconditional contribution, and we're seeing results in combating drug trafficking. Once again, I want to say to the countries with anti-imperialist governments. That we're accused of not complying with norms. They're even accusing us of being drug traffickers. Now, in the countries which are pro-imperialist, pro-capitalist, where drug trafficking has grown, they congratulate them on their efforts. What a lie. They need to know this. So I'd like you just to take a look at the UN figures on the struggle against drug trafficking. Fortunately, other countries have understood the results we've achieved in Bolivia. And we're debating the model of drug trafficking, combating drug trafficking in Bolivia. We say there'll never be... Now, if we had more technology, the results would be much better than we're doing now. So I'd like... Now I was left with over... former leaders left me with over 30,000 hectares of cocoa plantations. This year, we've now reached just over 20,000 hectares of cocoa cane, in addition to the traditional consumption of the cocoa leaf. And I just want you to see those UN figures, and figures also can be seen, and compared with the other figures in other countries of the world. Brothers and sisters, obviously I join many other presidents in welcoming the agreement between Cuba and the US, the decision to reopen diplomatic relations. But let me just say, when I became president, I visited the US ambassador. He was giving instructions, President Evo, you cannot have diplomatic relations neither with Cuba, Venezuela, or Iran. That's what he said. Okay. Then a group of congressmen from US came and said, they instructed me, President Evo, you can't have relations with the aforesaid three presidents. Obviously, I said no. I said, if we had economic resources, if we had the money, we'd have embassies in every country in the world. You're not going to stop me from having diplomatic relations with you. You're not going to tell me who I can and can't have diplomatic relations with. Now, I've never given instructions to the US. I've never told them who they can have diplomatic relations with, be it Cuba, Iran, Venezuela. But I congratulate them anyway. Now they have diplomatic relations with Iran and Cuba. Hopefully soon they'll even have relations with Venezuela. Now this has been... These diplomatic relations with Cuba shouldn't just end with exchange of ambassadors. Our great desire, the Bolivian people, is that the US should return Guantanamo to Cuba. That they finally, once and for all, lift the economic blockade. We hope that the words that we heard this morning from Obama will be followed up on in terms of lifting the economic blockade. Secondly, President Castro, my brother, talked of CELAC. We've declared a region of peace. Maybe we have problems in Colombia, a slight problem with FARC, but thankfully, thanks to the support or the mediation of Cuba, we were very pleased to hear this pre-agreement between the FARC and the Colombian government. So we welcome the efforts, the patience of President Santos for reaching that agreement. But I want to say to the companions from the FARC, it's now been 70 years of revolutions. Revolutions no longer are done with bullets, with guns. Now it's done with vote through the ballot box. The democratic struggle, that's our experience, and change can be made to the social economics situation, not just here in this continent, but on other continents too. When groups or social sectors are in the right and fight for sovereignty and freedom, the forces support that struggle, that in that zeal for liberation, and we do very much welcome this agreement. But also, there's the theme also of the Malvinas in our continent. Let me tell you, brothers and sisters, apologies to Argentina, Malvinas belong not just to Argentina, but to all Latin America. So, how can they control an island that's so thousands of miles away? How can they control an island that's so close to our continent? We must put a stop to this. And we hope for understanding to put an end to these kinds of problems that we continue to have. But there's another theme, a pending theme, as they take advantage of the colleagues, taking advantage of the presence of our colleague from Chile. Welcome, my brothers from Chile. There's another pending theme at The Hague. Now, you see, over 130 years ago, not for the fault of the Chilean people, a group of oligarchs, and supported by English transnational, invaded us for economic reasons. Just to refresh your memories, the invasion began on 14th February 1879. On the 23rd of March, the same year, that invasion lasted 1 month. Now, to give you more I would like to go into more details, but after so many commitments and offers to Chile, I want to we're now taking the case to the International Court of Justice in The Hague after so many years of trying and failing to reach a compromise. The fact is, Bolivia is a peaceful country, but under its constitution, it does not have an expansionist mentality, nor does it have any desire to invade neighboring countries. Therefore, we're petitioning the ICJ, and some certain authorities in Chile, not all, are saying that they say that they have no outstanding cases with Chile, but The Hague says that there is a pending theme in our continent, and they've said that it is competent to resolve the theme of Chile, and the pending theme, and Bolivia was very modest, received with great ruling with great modesty, because this decision taken by the highest judicial instance created in the UN is meant to be independent. And I want to say to our Chilean brothers, especially to the Chilean people, we don't want there to be any winners or losers here. All we want is to resolve and to win together for the good of our people. That is what we Bolivians want. Not a matter of pitting anyone against each other. We're two neighbors, we're two brothers. We can't spend our whole lives at each other's throats. That way, neither one will win. And we want the support of the whole world. We welcome the great solidarity that governments, presidents have shown, social movements, institutions. Kofi Annan, former UN Secretary General, gave his timely support to the case, that you should resolve the case of the sea, access to the sea. Pope Francis, not just Pope Francis, but John Paul II also expressed his support for those documents for ex-presidents of the US. 3 Nobel Prize winners said that the theme of access to the water of the sea should be resolved. So this is not just a claim, it's our right. And with the support of the whole world, we will restore our sovereignty to the Pacific, and we trust it will be through concerted dialogue, bona fide dialogue, for the good of all our peoples. In conclusion, I'd like to commend the work of the United Nations. 2 weeks ago, we found out from the media that here, you, the ambassadors, delegates, members of government from all around the world approved the principles and values of the Andean indigenous movement.
No robar, no mentir.
Don't lie, don't steal are our principles. Let me tell you, brothers and sisters, these are family values. These are, as president, as vice president, we've always applied these values. That's why in a short space of time, we want to tell you that Bolivia is not as it was before. We came to power when Bolivia was the last ranked country in all South America and the continent. Thanks for the struggle of the Bolivian people and our social movements. Thanks to our programs, we're now a small country, but we are making great strides because our values, not to rob, not to steal, not to lie, should be a norm of values for transparent governance, for honest governance, for the benefit of all the peoples of the world. And on behalf of the indigenous movement of Bolivia and the indigenous movement, thank you very much for approving this norm for indigenous peoples, this norm that was approved by the United Nations. I also want to take the opportunity to welcome the joint work carried out with Argentina and the G77 and in approving principles for sovereign debt restructuring processes and the limits that need to be placed on the transnational veracity of the vulture funds, the most vilest forms of capitalism that subject sovereign nations. This is something that we reject categorically. We think that this is a way of defending economic sovereignty of the various countries. Finally, brothers and sisters, let me thank Pope Francis for his message. Now, sadly, the fault. I've had some disappointments in the Catholic Church over time, but with the Pope, the brother Pope who questions capitalism, he won't give in to the god of money, and now suddenly become the greatest Catholic ever. Really, I want to commend this message of peace from Pope Francis. Now, to tell you the truth, now I do believe in the Pope. But let me tell you, brothers and sisters, what Pope Francis said through the masses, religious ceremonies, the hands, through his prayers, I must apologize because as we risk our lives, we must defend and must put into action what Pope Francis said. Thank you, brothers and sisters.
En nombre de la Asamblea General.
On behalf of the General Assembly, I thank the President of the Plurinational State of Bolivia for his statement just made, and with the permission of the Assembly, I will escort the President.